Last week I made the claim that the music business isn't what it used to be. And what did I mean by that? I meant that it's much more difficult for any musician to make a living in 2020 than in previous years. And two, that the status of being a musician and the whole importance of music in one's life, it's not quite as important as it once was in past societies. Why is this? People like to simplify arguments to say that the individuals that make music these days are not as good as past societies. We once had someone like Frank Sinatra walking into a studio and recording "Come Fly with Me" with like an unbelievable big band, like one take, and then someone would hear that and say, "Oh, holy shit, I can't do that." But it's quite different now. The way music is, it's very simple, and people listen to it and they say, "Oh, well, maybe I could do that too," and they get some like rudimentary equipment from on their computer and they start putting out stuff. But I'm not saying that that's the reason why. That's like a rabbit hole I don't want to go down. I could narrow it down to two reasons why music has lost a lot of ground in the modern era. One is the demise of the record companies, and two is musicians themselves, their lack of knowledge of how how money is made in the music business, and their penchant to think that it's okay to play for free and to give away their music, or just to basically take what they do best and put its value as something to be debated by society. So let me start first with the demise of the record companies. Now, if you think about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and all the unbelievable musical acts that are in there, how did they get in there? They didn't make videos from their smartphone and put them on YouTube like me. Somebody found them. Somebody like Ahmet Ertegun, who founded Atlantic Records, scoured the country for great talent, and he found people like Ray Charles or Zeppelin, Coltrane, the Rolling Stones. He might have been a music lover, Ahmet Ertegun, but he was also a businessman, and he wanted to make money. I'm not saying which was more important, to bring great music to America or to make money. Both equally important, maybe. But the point is that he started a company that invested money in talent and developed that talent, promoted that talent. And if it was good, they became legendary. If it wasn't, they were one-hit wonders. So that's a big factor for me, that why music is not quite what it used to be. We don't have that anymore. You have Spotify playlists and you have all this stuff, but you don't have anybody that's going out there trying to find people and put their own money behind them and develop them, promote them, find their products in stores and all of that. I mean, you have musicians that want to make records and they put up GoFundMe and Kickstarter. I want to make a record. Please give me money. I want to tour. Please give me money. I want to go to England with my band. We'd love to. And if you give us $10, I'll give you a bumper sticker. If you give us $20, we'll play your Uncle Fred's barbecue. Starting to sound like okay boomer. I better go back. I better pull the reins back. But I'm just saying that record companies and their desire to make money and promote talent is a big reason why the music business was so powerful and musicians were so desired years ago. So my second idea is that the music business is bad because of musicians themselves, their lack of knowledge of how money is generated in the music business, their willingness to give away all their publishing, their willingness to give away their master recordings to record companies who knew how money was generated in business, and these artists in turn were like, well, buy me a fancy car and a ring, and I'm going to be okay with that. So my point is that musicians throughout history, either they didn't know how money is generated or they didn't care. So subsequently, now in this modern era of like Spotify, the record companies are doing, even though they don't exist anymore, they've entered into agreements with technologies like Spotify. They have to, because they own the rights to everything. So together they're doing okay. And now the musicians are suffering because Spotify, they'll stream your song 80 million times and they'll send you a penny. But I'm not going to get down on Spotify, because you see, I'm a Milton Friedman devotee. And if you don't like Spotify, and if you don't like Facebook, you don't like Spotify, you don't like the way Amazon does business, here's a tip. Don't use it. Make your own version of Spotify. Make your own version of Facebook. Don't take the technology and complain and say, "Oh, they're preventing me." No, I don't go for that. Okay, so let me talk about the second thing. The second thing is musicians themselves. I started to get into that here. But how many times did you go down to maybe where, like, I live near New York City, and I'd go to Greenwich Village, and bands would be playing, and they would be not selling CDs, but when you go to approach them to purchase it, they would say, "Well, pay us what you think," putting it on like that, your honor, like, how much is it worth? Well, you know what? Think about this for a minute. What other business model that where the very thing that you do, your product, is now what it's worth is now subject to debate? Again, if you're willing to people are willing to do what they want, but think about this now. Right now, as I'm making this video, I'm getting heart palpitations, or I'm getting chest pains. So I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to run to the hospital, and I'm going to sit down with a cardiologist, and they're going to give me a stress test, and they're going to do all sorts of testing on me. When they're done, I'm going to get a bill, and the guy's not going to put out a hat and say, "Well, how much did you think what I did was worth?" Pay what you can afford. Pay what you think. It won't happen. If I need to see an attorney, he's not going to put a hat out, or he's not going to barter with me. Now, there's a whole idea about gift economies and all that stuff, which I don't agree with and I don't want to go into. But think about some of these things that I'm saying. The record companies going out of business, and there's no one to find and promote talent anymore. Musicians that play for free, give away their product, give away what they're doing. What they're trying to live on, they're giving it away. And then my pet peeve, which is musicians that don't support their fellow musicians. I mean, that's a very simple thing, but musicians are notorious for that. I've gone to all my friends' record release parties. I try very hard to see everybody live that I can, but it doesn't really come back in return. Now, while that might hurt personally sometimes, it could be said that if your career depends on only your friends coming to see you or buying your products, you're not going to have much of a career. And the whole idea is to expose yourself to people that you don't know, make your new fans, and one at a time. And it's hard work. So those are my two reasons why I think the music business has lost a lot of ground over the years. There are no more record companies, and musicians are doing things that make what they do in society not so desirable. You won't see, you wouldn't have seen Derek Jeter, the guy from George Steinbrenner, say, "Well, Derek, you love to play baseball anyway," like they say to musicians, like jazz musicians. "Well, we're only going to pay you $50, but you'll be playing jazz." Can you get where I'm going here? It's like musicians are maybe a lot of them are not so smart. I don't know. So anyway, those are my ideas. I'm curious to see what some of my friends think.